Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 47th episode of Cultist Simulator, the Dancer DLC, playing as Margaret Zell. So we've pretty much gotten past the expedition that we wanted, that we started off with. This is Grunwald Circus. The bewilderment is our opportunity. We will pass in silent secrecy. We do still have the worms in the world to get past, but we know that, as with any curse, if we fail the check, we go by. We just need to live with the consequences. And if I recall correctly, the worms in the world have a rather nasty side effect. Now, I can't recall what my decision was in terms of upgrading the secret histories or reading the known unknown tantra. We've got plenty of erudition, we've got a glimmering, so we would be able to move the Forgotten Chronicles up. I think I'm going to start by reading the known unknown tantra, because we do have almost 3 minutes on the glimmering. But the danger, of course, is that I mess up my timings and we wind up with less than what we thought we would. In any case, Carlos Garcia Sauri, the ecstatic mystic of the Pyrenees, was known to recite this in 3 languages, though he had never visited the subcontinent. The known unknown tantra describes a journey to the white door of the mansis, beyond which speech ceases. It describes the mantra which can be used at the right place and time to achieve that door. The musicians close with a flourish. Some of the audience start as if waking from sleep. Others applaud. One forces his way through the crowd to the exit, face drawn. There's always one. As we skip from the stage, Mr. Ecdysis winks, and here is Sulachana with her clever hands to bandage those of us that went too far. I do mean to grab Moth Influence to see if we can push that any further, but it's just one of those things that I don't really kind of go out of my way to do it, so there may be some more mysteries to that event. Honestly, it's really just about getting the extra Spintrea while I can, but of course that does come at the cost of Mystique. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. The expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I could send another follower. Shortly after the trip to the through the stag door, we will be able to heal up the affliction. So we've had a pretty reliable side effect of fascination when the trembling heat comes up. In this case, so there is one side of me that would kind of like to test it again, but I'm not 100% sure what's up in the ascent of knives when the trembling heat comes up. I think it might be edge, but this is one of these times I want to test it, so cool. A furious air. Anger is implicit in every shape. Of the place my dreams took me last night, this has been written. The ascent is glass, the walls are knives, each step is blood. I do not climb far, the pain was too great. When I woke, that pain remained with me, a pain I could employ to occult purposes if I hurry. So, don't have quite the same need for edge as we might have in other cases, but we'll leave that aside. Now, in this case, I'm not going to touch the dream slot. Normally I'd go just straight back to the stag door, but here we just need to wait about 8 seconds and we will be able to heal the affliction. We could take longer, we do still have another vitality, but there's no real benefit to delaying it, so in this case it'll be a pretty straightforward choice. All I need now is time. Something happened. Oh, here we go. We are almost certainly strong enough in Moth to be secure against the curse. So we call upon the laughing thrush, who cannot be exhausted. The light of a lantern can only ever reveal the space between the forest shadows. And here we have an unmerciful mantra. Mercy, saith the watchman, is found only in shadow. Okay. So we finished off all of the texts that we have. We will, shortly get some more, but for the time being, we're going to do what we had originally planned, which was to upgrade the secret histories. And the fear that I have is that 100 seconds is not actually going to be long enough. The one thing I didn't, erudition's not that bad because the lessons learnt will be expiring, but the glimmering may actually be a little too old for my purposes, but we'll see. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. If I was so inclined, I could double up the unmerciful mantra, but that's not critical to me right now. Tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. And optimism is the spice which saves. So normally I'd send Leo out to get rid of the mystique again, but Madame Bichet has become available, so she's seeking pieces for the Notorious Carisham Review, and we're just the sort of person to submit an article. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer, too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. I think I need to adjust my mic stand, but I'm going to try and get past this video. Okay, so another course of the heart. That's sort of the intended side effect. Now, there's a small argument against going back to the Ecdysis Club right now, because I am trying to sort of burn down some mystique while I'm generating the notoriety. But in this case, I think this is not a bad way to be spending my time. The Furious Air is kind of interesting because there's some things that I could summon with it. But of course, I've already got 3 summons on the table right now, so it's a little harder to justify any of the actions other than going to the Ecdysis Club. There is actually one other thing that I can do, which is, and I've not taken the opportunity on the last couple of playthroughs. If it's not clear to some of you, I think I am going to adjust the mic stand, sorry. But if it's not clear to some of you, you do not need to wait to find a particular book to be able to translate. In fact, one of the languages is not available from any kind of a text at all. But in the case of Frisian, and I don't think I have anything in Deep Mandiac yet. But yeah, in the case of Frisian, there are summons that you can bring up. So in addition to Dr. Redeem, so Dr. Redeem will teach you Aramaic, Count Jannings will teach you Latin. I believe Madame Bichet will teach you Greek. Yes. But in the case of I don't want to say some of the special summons you can give, just in case some people don't know. Maybe I should mention that there is actually a secret history summon that you can do. I think it's fair to say it's a secret history summon. But yeah, so there are summons that you can do to teach you Fusine, Deep Mandiac, and Frisian, if I didn't say that. Oh, and sorry, Sulachana will teach you Sanskrit. And so far as I can tell, it is only Vac which you have to learn in the Mansis. Everything else you can access from books, or you can access from tutors, and some of those tutors are not necessarily, they're not from around here. Anyways, as interesting as that is, I think I'm going to go back to the Ecdysis Club. We don't really have, I mean, we could throw the influence in. I'm kind of curious to see if it actually does anything. I don't think it will. Oh, I've only got 4 seconds. Okay. Give it a little while for the scar. The air is wreathed with smoke. My companions on the stage are fluttering shivers of flesh and velvet. Mr. Ecdysis drums pound. We begin. Yeah, nothing. I think I already tried this with a glimmering before, so. And here's what she needs, a moth commission. Okay, so we should have Dr. Redeem and Jannings available fairly soon. Actually, sorry, I should have spent the time with the moth commission. That's my mistake. The Good Count's fraternity in Europe is seeking particular research. And our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. Alright. I am quite happy about that. Here's what he needs. A substantial commission on heart. We can definitely do that. And then finally, our good friend Dr. Ibn Aladdin. The doctor would like help with his research. Okay, I'm no further along my path of change. In the movements of the secret forms, I must find my lesson. So restlessness is going to be a little bit harder to deal with. Yes, it will in fact decay into dread if I don't intervene. And he would like a very substantial commission on secret histories. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. Okay, so let's see what we're up against next. Season of Ardors, so that's going to mean we get a contentment. We don't have a romantic interest. Lord Timothy, Monday, and Nicole have long since... The most honorable Marchioness of Stanford has been heard to declare that she doesn't quite understand exactly what she saw in me. I can't even remember how this... Oh, that's right. It's because we declined the marriage offer. But one way or the other, because we don't have any romantic attachments, we will get a contentment from the season of Ardors. Okay, let's go back to the Stag Door. So at this point, we're just kind of waiting for the expedition to wrap up. And the Stag Door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The headgear weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. Also, I'm going to get Leo working on... Oops, not quite what I wanted Leo to be working on. I'd like Leo to be still working on the mystique. What we obviously want to get rid of is the notoriety, but it is something I can get my heart followers to do. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. This is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in the odd corners of scholarship, provide erudition, or use a library. So we are going to lose the glimmering. The musicians close with a flourish. Some of the audience start as if waking from sleep. Others applaud. One forces his way through the crowd to the exit, face drawn. There's always one. As we skip from the stage, Mr. Ecdysis winks, and here is Sulochana with her clever hands to bandage those of us who went too far. So it turns out we still get to keep arousing air, but we're going to go to the gaiety. And as a reminder, there's no way that the restlessness can be consumed in time, so it is going to turn into dread. After the circus, in the striped tent, coiling tetralogies behind smeared and murky glass. In the grey tent, dripping fog that nuzzles us like a hunting cat. Fog rank as an animal. In the black and starred tent, wonderful meshes of ori and sculpture spranged with costume gems. In the red tent, a waxen priest in a glass coffin, and the books clasped to his chest. I always wondered if the colors of the tents had some connection with the different aspects. But the thing is that I don't know. I know, like, for gameplay purposes, there are sort of associations with particular colors. But I'm maybe not entirely convinced that the, how do I put this? Like, I can see why winter and white would go together. But I'm not sure that Nock is purple any more than I gotta be careful about some of these. But yeah, so like the red cup, you know, when it comes to the Grail, well, that kind of lends itself to a particular color. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure whether or not some of the aspects would be properly associated with colors. Alright, the painted river runs from a great chamber near the white door, far through the mansus to its far edge, where it enters a painted delta of far cloud. I voyaged half its length last night with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised a yearning shanty, close-hauled the sails to best use the painted wind. And all the while the captain and I discoursed of the secrets of the House of the Sun. So more erudition. Now, of course, we were hoping for... Well, we weren't hoping. We're not going to get that from the stag door, but would have been nice to have some kind of glimmering. Let's just take a quick look at what's coming up. So there is a Season of Despair, so I was sort of playing with fire, not dealing with the dread. However, I can use the contentment in a couple seconds to get rid of that. So mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane if that means anything. Alright, I am alone, but there's peace in that also. And whenever the principle of the heart is implicated, I may gain vitality. Alright, in the red tent, a madness of paper. The circus folk have pasted diagram-crowded paper to every surface. The anatomies of time, the dissections of old weather. The place stinks of nowhere. We should burn it when we leave. The trestle table holds an unceremonious muddle of trophies and keepsakes. So we have another jumble. So Sunset Passages in Latin, so that's one that we can work with. Of course, that will probably come at the expense of some dread, so I may want to be careful about when I read that. More erudition, the Ivory Book. So that is translatable for us. A Writhing Call, which I thought we had one of, but it doesn't look like... If we did have one, we used it. So lay your hand on these tattered folds and feel their warmth. Leave your hand upon it, and it will explore the possibilities of embrace. So, powerful grail. A True and Accurate History of the Shadowless Kings. Isaac of Karth's History of the Shadowless Empire. Gartside Sanskrit reader. It's kind of hard to imagine you needing it at this point, but I also recognize that not everybody's going to play Cultist Simulator the same way. Okay, so that was a pretty good haul. That's 3 books that we're going to be able to translate, and we'll move straight into the next expedition. What I'm going to do here is I'll preserve the Callagine and the Percussagant, the main ones. This Percussagant will probably be able to survive for at least one more, but again, the idea here was just to extend them almost as a bank for vitality. Voivod Citadel. In the days of the great power of the Turks, a man of power ruled here. Over many years, he fed many thirsts until his own thirst overcame him. I have learned that both his treasures and his victims may remain in an untouched vault below the castle. And Voivod's vault the Voivod's vault will be hidden well, and if the stories are true, his victims may not rest peacefully in the dark behind the Citadel's walls. So this, of course, makes some suggestions in terms of Lantern and Winter, but of which we have neither, so we'll probably add quite a few people over time. This is one of these cases where adding the Percussagant may actually hurt my efforts more than help, but we'll see. And again, we want to use our contentment with the dread because it is actually going to be a liability. So I remember that I was different before. So I'd love to add a glimmering here, but I think we'll just translate Sunset Passages, the Ivory Books, and the True and Accurate History of the Shadowless Kings, and then in future we'll maybe move up the Forgotten Chronicles. I am, however, going to start doing some commissions, so Moth does have the potential of generating the glimmering, so let's throw our reason at it. Write a substantial treatise on Moth. This may be useful for a commission. Obviously a change of pace since going to the Ecdysis Club over and over again, but it's nice to change it up. So yes, the fretful dead, not all the dead rest easy. These ones dislike our intrusion. We can prevail against them with edge, or they may obey one who comes in the name of winter. And hidden doors can be found with lantern or knock. So what I'll do here is I'll start by adding a winter disciple. I tend to find that the doors, I don't know, it feels like when there's the undead and doors, it's always undead first. So we'll start by adding Violet, and yeah, actually I guess there's no clever way, if I get this wrong, like if I need to take care of the door first, I'm just going to be short on the lantern. But one thing's for sure, we're definitely not adding the percussigan. Optimism is the spice which saves. Now we're not quite ready to turn in a commission yet, so I think we're going to bring Leo out for another party. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. And balked, my studies have been stymied for now. So we'll take care of the studies later, but at the minimum I want to get the translations done. I'll probably wind up reading some books as well. The dead watch us closely, expressionless as saint statues, but we are invested with the power of winter. Probably the dead will recognize that. That's calling on the power of the ivory dove. And if we add Eau Claire, call upon the ivory dove who knows the names of all the dead. The dead circle the edge of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. They must recognize that. And the sun still moves, the wind still walks. My journals are the labyrinth clue. So I think in this case, there's not a whole lot to hurt us if we go through the stag door this time, even if we wind up with a restlessness. With a fascination, we'll be able to get through it. So, at our reason, the stag door is the adept's gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head Gearbee weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. Okay, so these become different cards. Now, this is actually one reason I talk quite a bit about reading the icons on the cards. And there's a very practical benefit for it, just if you're new to the game, right? This is the way that the game communicates information to you, and one of the reasons why the game is more than just randomly trying things inside of different slots. And I think for the most part, people recognize that. Every once in a while, you'll sort of see people criticize the game on that basis, but I think for the most part, people kind of get that there's more to it. They may not necessarily like the game afterwards, but I think most people kind of recognize that there's a little bit more than just, try every possible combination until you go nuts. But definitely one of the ways that you can make your life easier is to check these things out, and more importantly, at least for me, one of the things that I like looking for is change. So this can be changes to your followers. You can't really measure changes to yourself through this method. I mean, obviously things like your attribute cards sort of count like that, but what's really useful is when you're doing things like the upgrades, because definitely studying wasn't always like this. So this will not only just give you a preview of the things that you need, but this will tell you that if you study with these two, it's going to be easier than studying with this, because it only needs the glimmerings. On the other hand, I may say, well, I've got a lot of erudition which is about to expire, so maybe I want to make the most of those and actually get more erudition done. Again, I have that option right now, although it is, again, one of the more time-consuming ones, so it may not necessarily be an action that I want to take. I think I've said a couple of times where generally I prefer reading books for lore because it's one of the most time-efficient ways of obtaining it. But there's a lot that gets communicated in the game inside of these, and again, sometimes the absence of an aspect is as important as the presence of one. But in this case here, I do actually kind of like it because it's a way that you can keep track of the effort of your study. And again, because this is not the way it was originally done, I think this is very useful in terms of helping people gain an understanding of how the research mechanic works, particularly when it was new. But that's I suspect there's a lot of people who've started playing the game and haven't who haven't known what the old experience was like. I may actually have something to share about that at some point in the future. But I think I'm going to stay true to my word. As interesting as it would be to study the Forgotten Chronicles, let's start translating. So, Sunset Passage is a holy text of the Church of the Unconquered Sun, which in many histories was driven underground, in Latin. Lock the study door, the work begins. I finished the manuscript. Alright, so there's the moth. We'll turn that in as soon as we can, but right now we need to go to the Gaiety just to make sure they know I'm still alive. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Alright, so that's the percussagant expiring, but that just turns into vitality, so I'm not going to complain about something that'll help me heal. The dead draw back, their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. So we'll move on with our lantern followers. So usually there's the team up of Pope Clifton and Cat Caro. Maybe Slee and Cat Caro because they're close together, but for some reason I always start from the far right and move in. Okay, so we have another season of ambitions, and Wolf Despair prowls elsewhere. So we get basically a free turn coming up. So again, I think there's going to be fascination here, so let's go back to the Ascent of Knives, which I think we'd said would be Edge in that case. Winter. I visited the Ascent of Knives last night, that harshest of roads through the house. It has been sacred to the Meniscate and the Sun and Rag since the Intercalate, when the true sun was divided. When I awoke, my room was freezing. The chill of it had cracked the window glass. Winter passes the clothes, passes the skin, nestles in the veins. Okay, so this will be something that I need to deal with because it will eventually become dread, and we may have some options in terms of playing around with it. I don't think we have anything we want to do with the dream slot. Now, it would be kind of nice if I could use the restlessness to advance the dance, but we can't, so tonight they'll notice that. And we go through the stag door. Optimism is the spice which saves. So, we're going to turn in Madame Bichet's commission. I have what was requested. And I did say I was going to add a lantern follower. Okay, I prepared the text for study. Now I think one of my options here, so we can upgrade influences, but I believe there's also the possibility of subverting it. However, we do not have pounding airs. So that option is closed for now. However, we may generate heart influence through other means. Moving on, given the fact that we are probably facing down a few dread items, let's translate the Ivory Book, and then we'll worry about the order in which we read these things. So, Manual of the Order of Limea, an order of quasi-immortals who maintained a secret enclave at the source of the river Limea in the Roman province of Hispania Gallicaea. At the study door, the work begins. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. A little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. We're getting close to the end. One thing I did want to mention, and I think I may have forgotten to mention it in some of the earlier episodes, but it looks like the... it does look like the tabletop... there was a... Now, you know what? I should be doing my commission still. There was a deck builder bundle on Humble Bundle, which I think in the previous week I'd said that on the Friday video, the time had passed, or the time would have passed by the end, and I think it was extended by a week. So if this is the Thursday video and the estimate was correct, it should still be available. It's one of these, it's not exactly pay what you want, but it's darn close. It is. You can definitely pick up the base version of Cultist Simulator along with a couple of other games at a lower cost. And if it is available, what I'll do is I'll add a link in the description down below And one of the options there is for you to decide where the money goes. So if you use that affiliate link, you will be able to distribute it among the publishers, among the charity. Unfortunately, Humble does actually mandate a certain amount to go towards them. I am not happy about that decision. And then there's also an amount that you can put towards me if you so choose. But it always feels a little weird to say, put that slider away from charity and towards me. So I will leave it to your judgment as to how you would like to distribute your money. But for those of you who do not yet own Cultist Simulator and want to pick it up, or alternatively who maybe want some of the other games and would decide to gift Cultist Simulator to someone, it's not a bad deal. I know probably, I can't remember the exact breakdown in terms of prices, but I think if you get it on Steam in the Anthology Edition, like your unit cost or whatever might be a little bit lower. Because, I mean, again, the bundle's not going to include the DLC. But particularly for people who might be on the margin, maybe you don't know if they're going to be into the full game, it's probably better to just start them off with the basic, and then they can slowly fold in the DLC as they become interested. But obviously, that's a little bit of advertising there, I think I've been pretty clear on this, but if it's not clear, the affiliate link that will be inside the description is something that does potentially enrich me. And of course, I have worked with Weather Factory in the past. They have paid me to do the Steam streams before, so I don't know if that's a disclosure. I don't know if that's an interest that I need to disclose for the Humble link, but it is something that I feel like I should probably bring to your attention. But the hope here is that you'll just be able to get a good game at a good price, and whether you decide to use that affiliate link or not, it's more about making sure that you can take advantage of the opportunity if you need it. And again, I apologize for the more advertising thing, but I feel like that is that has an element of community service to it. So we're still waiting for the next follower in here. I think we're at the end of our time, and we should have one more episode for this week. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, as always, for watching. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you in the next one.